Hi, welcome back, everyone. This is Authors on the Air, and I'm your host, James Latwell. And today we have in the studio with us Carter Wilson. Carter's a USA Today best-selling author, and his newest book is Tell Me What You Did. I mean, it is. I mean, we'll talk about it, but it's a great book. You guys are going to love it. But it's really unique, and we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. But so I've been wanting to ask you this, Carter. Tell me what you did. So tell, tell us a little bit about the story behind the title.
Well, thanks, Jim. I appreciate you having me on. It tells the story of a 30-year-old woman who's the host of the country's most popular true crime podcast. And the conceit of the podcast is that she has people come on, just everyday people, via kind of an online interview, and they can anonymously confess to crimes that they've committed in the past. And if she believes them, then she keeps them on the line and they have a conversation about the criminal mind. And it all comes to a head when she has a guest come on, and his confession is that he killed her mother. He killed the podcast host's mother. So it's a very cat and mouse kind of a thing that gets out of control, and it kind of comes to a head with him wanting her to confess what she's done in her past on her own show.
Very, very true. Yeah, I mean, Poe Webb, she's your podcaster. She's a really unique character. I think you laid it out really well. You know, she's got a lot of anxiety and angst going on about, what's happened in her past. But how did you go about creating that character? Because I thought she was so well done in this book. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, I don't outline, and I don't really sit down and storyboard what my characters are going to be like. I have no idea what she looks like or anything like that. I usually start with just kind of a tone of the book, and I just knew from the outset, whatever the story was and whatever her deal was, that she was just angry. She was just this angry person. And that kind of propelled me through those first scenes just to see, like, okay, what is her deal? Why is she so angry? And I came to realize later, I'm like, oh, she started this podcast for her own therapy. She's got a lot of unresolved issues. So everything just kind of came out of that place of anger and wanting to be left alone, and being pulled into kind of the situation that's actually me perhaps getting her to finally confront her fears in her past. But she only does it kicking and screaming.
No. Yeah. I mean, Poe was really well done, but I got to say there was something really unique in the package of this book that, I'm reading Poe's story. I've got an image in my head of who she is, what she's about, and that tone that you talked about, the anger. I mean, yeah, it permeates it. And then there's a QR code in your book. And, I thought, okay, Carter's marketing his next book, but it's not. And, you pull up that QR code and it's Poe in her narrative. And it's like, right. Oh my God, this gives a whole layer of that character that I didn't pick up before. And it's like, now the rest of the book, I'm seeing that person, I'm hearing her voice.
Interesting.
What a cool idea. How did you come up with that?
It's a double-edged sword. Well, in the book, Poe always records her side of the podcast on her iPhone, unbeknownst to the callers. She does it kind of out of her own kind of safety. And her podcasts are very tense. And I was just writing the scene. I'm like, I kind of want to see what this looks like. And so I reached out to this actress who I'd gotten to know a little bit because she had been a reader of some of my books, and just said, hey, can I hire you to do a few scenes for me? And I didn't really have any real purpose in mind. I just wanted to see it. I wanted to kind of amuse myself. And, this actress, Rebecca Kennedy, just knocked it out of the park. And so I packaged it as kind of recovered evidence from the Vermont State Police. And I asked my editor, I'm like, hey, can we throw this in there? And she had never seen anything like that before. So I don't know if I'm setting new ground or not, but it was fun to do. My one hesitation was that exactly what you just said. Like now, like I almost never describe my characters because I want the readers to just fill in those blanks. I'm like, this is showing my version of Poe. But I decided it was worth it because I just loved the work that she had done.
Yeah, it brought a whole new dimension, this multimedia kind of approach to the book, and it's like it was just to me it was just something so new, so fresh. That's like
That's great. That's the
so
reaction I was hoping for.
he pulled it off. Now that was really good. Now, speaking of Poe and her podcast is all about pulling these secrets out of her guests. Um, we won't ask, since you're also a podcaster, we won't ask what secrets you've been able to pull out. But what is it about secrets like she finds in her guests and her own that are just so powerful in people's lives?
Yeah, I think people want to relate and in a way almost feel better than, think
Mm,
of the old like Jerry Springer shows. Like I'll
yeah.
watch that because I want to see what a mess other people are because it makes me feel better about myself. And meanwhile, you have these guests who they know they're a mess, but they want attention. So they'll do anything for attention. And that just is such American culture to me. Both the duality of both of those things. And I think just everyone loves to know everybody else's business. And if you're willing to put your business out there, it'll be consumed.
Yeah, that's so true. We're definitely into other people's pain, you know.
We are.
Yeah. Now, tell me what you did. I mean, as a first-rate psychological thriller. I mean, you package that up and give it to us really, really well. But what is it that makes a good psychological thriller?
I mean, when I think about my own work, at least, or what work attracts me in the thriller realm, it has to be emotion forward.
Mm,
You give me a plot that's intricate with twists and it's amazing, but I don't care about the characters because I don't feel connected to them, then it all dissolves. So I would say emotion first and then character development. I really need to be invested. That's why my books typically, I mean, if there's more than 5 people in my books, that's a lot. I want to just really do a study on these individuals. And if I'm reading a book that's forcing me to think, what would I do in this situation? That's what to me makes it propulsive.
mm.
That and obviously the tight writing, the non-tropey kind of stuff, something that feels a little bit different than what I've read before. I think that's what people are looking for.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think you've hit it here. I mean, the book, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, this week was already picked on the Publishers Weekly, bestsellers list. So I
Yeah.
mean, the trajectory of this book is the buzz it's getting out there is just tremendous. So congrats
Yeah,
on
it's
that.
been great. I mean, the big thing, and it's interesting as an author, just going, this is my 10th book. So I've
Mm,
seen a little bit of everything. And this one is more momentum than I'm used to. And it was a Barnes and Noble monthly pick. And
mm,
that was a game changer for me because it's just,
mm.
on its own table in every store for a month. And so
Wow.
that's what really gets eyes on it. So it's just fascinating to see, you never predict anything, and things that you think are great don't do as well. And, it's completely impossible to predict any of this stuff.
It is. It's a totally weird business.
It is. It
But
is.
so what's next for you? What's coming up next down the pike?
That's a great question. I rarely do multi-book contracts. I write standalone thrillers. So what I
Mhm.
typically do is I finish a book and within a week I'm starting something new that nobody knows about except for me. So I'm actually just about to turn in another book to my agent who has no idea what it's about because I didn't tell her. And I also have actually a YA thriller, a really dark YA thriller that I co-wrote with a friend of mine that we're starting to poke around to put on submission. So
Well, that's
who knows
cool.
what the future holds?
Who knows? Yeah. Now, you and I talked a little bit beforehand, but you're really invested in helping other authors. I mean, you're a book coach, and you speak at events and things, but you also participate in events like Query Fest coming up at Thriller Fest.
Right.
What is it about getting into the community and helping emerging authors like that? I mean, it feels good, but how? Tell me about your experience.
Well, I mean, I just love being around writers. I love talking shop. I think it's so
Hmm.
much fun because everyone's so different. But I also started writing from a background of zero experience, like literally zero aspirations, zero experience. And I was in my 30s when I started writing. And it was like this real lightning bolt kind of a moment. So I didn't know what I was doing. And so I've gone through all of that of like trying to figure out the industry.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just curious about it. So I love to kind of, if I can impart any kind of wisdom that might be helpful, I think it's fun. And the second side of all of that is that it's critical for authors to get involved in the community, however you define that, to be around other authors, because it builds your career. You can't do this alone. You can do the writing alone, but you really need to be surrounded by your peers, and that just elevates everybody, I believe.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And again, thanks for taking part in Query Fest. I mean, that's I know that's commitment on your part, but
I can't wait. I love it.
yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it as well. We're gonna end up on something we call 3 quick hits, and I want to put you in Poe's headspace, and I'll ask you 3 questions, and just tell me what Poe would say. What's Poe's favorite cocktail? What does she drink?
Oh, she unfortunately she's not too discerning. But she will drink a couple fingers of whiskey, no problem, but she also gravitates towards vodka. She's not a big beer or wine drinker. She wants to feel it fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that came across in the book.
It's a boozy novel.
A boozy novel. Yeah, I love it. How about what music does she listen to? What's her favorite jam?
She doesn't really listen to music. She's not, her head doesn't quite work that way. She doesn't find comfort necessarily because her childhood was so disrupted by her mother's death that she never kind of gravitated towards those kind of distractions. So she'll have music on, but she doesn't really follow anything.
Gotcha. And then finally, what's Poe's greatest fear?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a great question. What is Poe's greatest fear? I mean, I think Poe's greatest fear is repeating what was already done to her, which is losing a parent, which is why her father plays such a big role in the book.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the characters in the book. I mean, there are no extraneous characters in your book. Everybody's there for a reason. I mean, you pull one out, whether it's her father or folks she meets at a coffee shop. It makes a difference in the book. So everything's very tight.
Yeah, they have to, right, Jim? Even if it's a barista, what is the purpose that they are serving here?
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah. Folks, have been talking with Carter Wilson. Carter is the author of Tell Me What You Did. I mean, if you're looking for something that'll really set your neck hairs up, this is the book. Yeah, totally unique, just so well written, and people are going to be talking about this one this year. I'm really certain of it, Carter. So congrats on a wonderful book.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you. We'll chat again soon, and thanks for the opportunity.
We will. All right, you take care, man.
See ya.